Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're comparing the DJI Action 5 Pro versus the Insta360 X5. And I know some folks will say they're completely different cameras, completely different tools. Actually, not always the case. And here's why I say this. There's single lens mode on this camera. That is always in single lens mode, right? This camera has the ability to record 360, and of course we can vlog with it. There are a lot of different applicable uses, and it's really cool that we can just go ahead and, well, someone doesn't know how to operate the camera. I'm gonna be honest, she just does not know how she can get it. So like right now, for example, I see that it's probably gonna have a lot of extra room up here, but on this camera here, I can go ahead and reframe this in 360-degree view. I can zoom down, up, left, right, upside down, you know, all that. Whereas in this instance, you have to be pointing towards the action, and I mean, if you get it a little off and you're not in the right mode, like this one, it's just more work, right? This one gives you so much more creative flexibility. So I figured we'll go ahead, we'll talk about these, we'll share our experiences, side-by-side comparisons that are not gonna be perfect, but they'll hopefully be an interesting indicator of, I mean, how they would work in the real world. And then at the end, we'll give you kind of our full thoughts, more so my thoughts, because I'm the one who does the editing. Now here's the cool thing. Say something cool happens over here or over there and I don't see it, that camera's not gonna get it. This one, however, we can just flip it all the way around. You can go upwards, right? We can record a helicopter going over. You can see the palazzo, even though I haven't moved my hand at all. I love that idea. It's really, really cool. But the hardest part though, is that as we move, as we turn and things like that, historically, it's kind of tough to track the person, right? On the Insta360 X5, you can do person tracking, like actively, but it's 5.7K plus, right? All that means is your resolution is going to be lower. I'm not doing it, but you can do it in the app later on, and it's pretty good. I've already played around with it a little bit. This guy, however, it's whatever you point at, which right now Emma's really pointing it up, right? Stabilization is going to be really good no matter what. I actually love the Action 5 Pro. It's been a really good camera for us. I've had GoPros, we had the Insta360 X4, and the X4, honestly, it sucked. It sucked. The app usage, like that was really good. But the file sizes, of course, are huge, which we'll get to the pros and cons, right? They were huge on the X4, and it would overheat. It would overheat in 80-degree weather. I'd have it in the backpack, it would just stop recording. And then it would actually stop about the 19-minute mark, and sometimes it just wouldn't record what it should have. So that's a big issue. This camera has not once let me down. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, you know, pros and cons. This guy, really, really, really durable. This one has two lenses, and they are replaceable lenses, but once you start to put like a cover on them and things like that, you're gonna deteriorate the image, and it's a whole thing. But with the 360 camera, you can go ahead and get really cool shots and reframe, and you can get multiple shots, see, I mean, you can just do all sorts of really cool things, including a sort of like third-person overhead shot view that you're just not going to be able to do with a regular action camera. Although, yeah, I mean, how often are we going to use that? I don't know. This doesn't automatically delete the stick because there's no stitch line for it to remove, whereas the 360 cameras automatically do that. So it's not that there's anything particularly magic about these, but it is a really, really cool feature. Now in low light, I know people will say action cameras are not really good in low light, and regardless of what you say, a 360 camera is an action camera. They're water resistant, both of them. The Osmo is really, you throw a screen protector on that, it makes it even more resistant to scratches and things like that, but now it's replaceable lenses, which is a big deal because these things are expensive. You know, this is kind of a nice thing. I'm going to use it everywhere we go, and we don't use DSLRs, we don't use mirrorless cameras for videoing.
Right.
We have, but they kind of suck. Why do they suck? Because I don't want to just pull them out and show, you know, where we are. But this is, you know, they've got all sorts of modes and pure video and, you know, night modes, and we don't do all that. I'm going to leave it in the highest quality that we can by default, and I'm going to choose that every single time. So you decide if this is good enough for you, and we'll find out later. The 360 camera, I don't have to point it anywhere. We can just kind of look later. This is a little less conspicuous, especially when you go ahead and turn that light off, and you can see, I mean, it's just capturing everything all the time. This is also really good.
Hi.
Is that rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, you just came by the cage with it.
Okay.
Can't do that.
Okay.
So anything you have on there with the cage, I'm going to need you to go ahead and delete.
Absolutely not. Now this is a perfect example, right? Is that we're capturing everything, and it's something that's kind of weird like that, where somebody goes, you need to delete your footage, like, he didn't even notice this camera, did he? No, because it was over my shoulder, which is a really funny thing. But then he wanted Emma to delete the footage, which is, no, we're not doing that. We'll leave, don't worry. But anyways, my point being, that is the best example I have ever seen. You couldn't script that better, right? That being said, I can go ahead and focus on that guy. I can actually track him automatically, right? And it kind of uses AI or whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about the physical construction of these. So obviously we talked about the durability. They're both really good. They're both easy enough to accessorize. The X5 is taller. It's got a bigger screen. And it's got a bigger light, but you can disable the light. Either way, you can disable the light. That's really nice. There are tons of cool accessories, really long poles, selfie sticks, things like that. Some of them are more expensive than others, but the DJI Action 5 Pro, it's the same thing as the 6 Pro, the 4 Pro, you know, the 4, 6, whatever, all these new ones they're coming out with. They're basically the same thing, and they're all gonna be good, right? I've heard great reviews of all of them, and I believe it. And reliability for the X4 360 camera, that's not good enough. This has been incredible. I will say, I like the touchscreen. You have a screen on both sides. I didn't think I was going to care about it, but it does come in handy, does it not?
It does, but it comes more handy to make sure we're framing the shot appropriately.
Because she's not good at this, yeah.
And with the Insta360, the whole thing's a shot, so I guess it doesn't really matter as much.
Which one is lighter?
Oh, the Insta360 is lighter.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this is particularly interesting because this has an adapter attached to it, and it's still a little lighter than the Action 5. Part of it might be the stick, but I think that the Action 5 just feels a little more like hefty. That is the thing. Now, this has Osmo audio, so we are running 2 DJI mic minis. And they connect natively. They have Osmo audio or whatever they call it. They connect natively. They're not Bluetooth. Bluetooth connections are like 16 kilobits per second or something. It's something so low, I'm not going to use it. It sounds worse than a phone call. But the Osmo audio is really high fidelity. But you can also connect this little adapter. The problem with this adapter, and there are workarounds, and you can get little other adapters and this and that to like hide it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not. So this, I do a quick start on that. They both have quick start. They're both really fast. This one, however, is gonna connect the audio faster. That makes good sense, but am I getting an advantage here? And that's really the question, that I can go ahead and say, okay, we're recording today. Let's make sure we have this little adapter that's gonna make it less weatherproof, weather resistant, right? You do see it, and you can see it right here around the camera. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, depending on how you frame it, you may or may not see it. They do have their own Insta360 mic air thing, whatever you have. But frankly, I don't have one. I'm going to use what I have, and I really love the DJI mics.
Yeah.
Now with the Insta360 X5, I'm going to go ahead and use a silicone cover because you can't really set it down. The Osmo, it doesn't matter. I put a screen protector on it, scratch it every 2 months, I replace it. It doesn't really matter. I'm a little less careful with the Action 5, but with the Insta360 X5, I'm going to be more careful. I'm going to use this. Now, batteries wise, these are going to be cheaper, and they last a very, very long time for the DJI. But for the X5, you've got they're not compatible with the X4 batteries, so they're going to be a little bit more expensive. They have a longer lasting version of this, and so far, so great with battery. I mean, we've done enough blog here, probably 15 minutes or so of shooting, maybe 20, and it's fine. It's still above 90%, which is really good. I really like these batteries. I really like this case because you can charge the case and it continues to charge the batteries on the go. We don't have anything like that for this. There might be an accessory out there, but there's not a kit that we bought. Now that does bring me to the price of these things, and so we got this a really good deal. It came with a stick, a memory card, 256 gigabytes, 2 batteries, the silicone cover, and I think there was one more thing, but it's inconsequential right now. Of course, the camera itself. $469 from Costco. That deal is through the end of January. Yeah. That's awesome. But this guy, if you don't get like a package, $269. You can get their little, probably $50 for the batteries and whatever, and then the stick. Depending on the deal that you get. I mean, we got the whole package before it was on sale for, I think it was like $349, which is a pretty dang good deal. And it blows anything we've seen out of GoPro.
Yeah, and these are Black Friday deals right now too, so keep that in mind.
Yes, but normally, like we went to Amazon, for example, for this camera, and they didn't, their best deal I think was $550, or They had it like 464, but it was no accessories at all, no extra battery and all that. So you add all this stuff, you know, you're double the price really is what it comes down to from that. But you also have double the camera potentially, right? Double the lenses, double the view, double the well, more than double the options. So, you know, these are all pros and cons. For example, if we wanted to do, you know, just the extra selfie stick from Insta360, that's like almost 10 feet tall, and carbon fiber and all that, it's like 90 bucks. But how much is a drone? You know, because they call that the drone package. You know, drones, and we love our drone when it's not, you know, dead. Those are like, I don't know, $1,000, or you can get them for 500 bucks. So these are pros and cons if you can use this camera in that capacity. And I think for the most part, you absolutely can. There's just so many options this has. You know, there is a stitch line here. That's just not something we really worry about. When we've seen it in the test, it's like, as long as you're not like right up against it, it's really not noticeable from afar. Now the point of view, the field of view here, infinite, right? I can not only switch around, but I can zoom out on us. You can see our feet. You can see well above us, behind us, whatever. This one though, if she drops her arm down lower, like you're gonna start to, obviously it's gonna be kind of more of an issue. Now here's the thing, I kind of have my elbow locked in. Your elbow really can't be locked in.
No, my shoulders are on fire right now.
Here, hold this. Is that any easier?
Oh yeah, because I can hold this at any angle and it doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is though, is you don't have to worry about pointing this one, whereas this one here, I have it kind of similar, but you're gonna go left, you're gonna go right a little bit, right? Like, you're gonna see the wobble a lot more, probably more than you do right here. So me holding the cameras side by side, you kind of decide. This isn't usually how I would do it, but if you kind of wanted a similar experience, you know, this is sort of what we get here.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta wonder with the Action 5 Pro, like, are we seeing more of the stick? At some point, you're gonna see the stick. So you can always make anything work, in my opinion. Some things you're gonna have to do 2, 3, 4 shots for, whereas this one, you know, potentially 1. Thinking about the $1 Million Highway, right? We're driving through this incredible place, and it's like, get that, get that, get that. I'm talking about like Glacier National Park. This, you're reframing, right? We're in some of the coolest places in the world. This is, I mean, it's capturing it all at the same time.
Yeah.
That, you're gonna miss out on something.
Right.
I mean, inevitably. And some of that is just like, okay, create a choice, whatever. Really, it's also the editing experience. See, if it weren't for the fact that the tracking was so good where I could just focus on us, I would actually be way less inclined to even consider this.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't always that way. Now here's an interesting little factor here, is that I can use one lens or the other, which cuts down on editing time. That's huge. This is kind of an interesting thing. Now, I'm noticing, I'm sure there are other settings in here, but again, this is like, I'm not going to be messing with settings. I don't really care about half the crap out there. It's cool to play around with, but day to day, I'm not using it if it's complicated. This, however, I noticed does not have the same stabilization. It seems like it's decent stabilization. Hopefully you guys don't feel like you're, you know, but if I turn it, it turns. Fine with me, you know, because if we really need the good stabilization, the gimbal, the gyroscopic sensors work, we're just gonna go ahead and put it in 360 and then I'll give it to her, right?
Yeah.
But it's easy enough to go from single lens mode to 360 and back. Now the Action 5 Pro, I will say, does have really good stabilization, like horizon balancing. And then you can have it just like Rock Steady Plus or Rock Steady, and each of them kind of zooms in a little bit more. I don't really use horizon because I notice at night or in lower light, it gets a lot glitchier because it's trying to like use an algorithm to, you know, whatever. But that being said, I think they're great either way. This one so far looks fine to me. I haven't actually reviewed this footage specifically, but in the little tests that I've done, you know, it's fine. And I will say that in terms of overall, like, hey, I'm using up a ton of storage, it's obviously gonna be half or less of the overall storage. Now this is 4K, that's 4K, this will shoot 4K 60, that will as well. This has 10-bit D-Log-M, which is what I always shoot in, because it's flatter, it lets you push and pull in post, and I have a kind of a LUT that I've created. I really like that. How does this one look? Well, the Insta360 X5 is 8-bit. Does that matter? That's it's kind of a red flag to me, because I want as much color and as much accuracy, especially when we go to these incredible places. But it's also about, is it good enough? And am I telling a story?
Right.
Am I getting the best visual for a story? So you decide. Obviously, these are the best settings I could figure out. I shoot 4K 30 no matter what, or 8K 30. I'm not shooting 5 points. I didn't buy an 8K camera. That is 8K spread out around 2 sensors, so that's a factor, right? But I didn't buy it to like lower the resolution. So you guys compare and contrast, but honestly, holding this up, and I'm like, oh yeah, we have a 360 camera. I kind of feel ridiculous in single lens mode. Not gonna lie, right? You know what I mean?
Use it the way it's intended to be used.
Yeah. Something I find interesting, and it's not a bad stick, but it's about 114 centimeters, or what, 3.5 feet?
3.74.
3.74 feet long. This is nothing on like a 10-foot, 9.8-foot pole, whatever. That feels like a good stick that you can do some really cool stuff with. This will get you by.
Yeah.
So, ooh, the Balaj has really turned it up this year. Look at this. So let's zoom into the candy house thing, the gingerbread house, tire section here. Oop.
That's very smart.
I know, thanks.
Yeah, I know. It's like snow.
She said it's very smart. And this is kind of neat, so we can come through this train here. Get really from out here, I can kind of pull through and get a really neat shot here that you're not able to get on a traditional action camera. That makes sense. And I'm hoping that the connected mic, receiver isn't as big of an obstruction as it looks. One cool thing though is the steam from the train. Whoop. The steam from the train is actually flowers up there. Does it look like flowers? Oh, I just found a glitch. So you can see, I can't see anything. You can see that the backlight is illuminated, but if I turn it off, so it's controlling the backlight. I'll go ahead and restart it real quick. So holding that down, maybe. Okay, we'll turn it back on. The device is not super hot, but it's warm. You would expect it to be warm. Okay, there we go. That was kind of strange. And now it's actually in photo mode. Now you might say it's a lot more fair to compare the DJI Osmo 360 to the X5. And I'm inclined to agree with you, other than the fact that we had a 360 and ended up returning it because the audio, using Osmo audio, right, that was it was unusable. And the video, the editing process there, right, because you have to import the files, then we want to export it because the app sucks.
Right.
It's just, we're going to edit in Final Cut Pro ultimately, but that process, it was terrible. It didn't have the tracking. It didn't nothing really good about it,
right.
Software-wise, yet. But it makes sense. The Insta360, though, they've got 5 generations, they know what they're doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I don't hold that entirely against them, other than the fact that there was also visual distortion, right? So audio and visual distortion, that's just not okay. It's just not good stuff. Ooh, carousel. Ooh. 62% battery left on this camera, 84. We've been shooting the same amount of time. I don't know, I think it's, obviously battery-wise, this is the clear winner, but that's not terrible, and practically speaking, we have really 20 to 25 minutes of videos each, but I'm shooting about an hour to get that point. I'm pretty good at that. So, I'm not disappointed
This
so far.
also is recording a lot more footage.
Yeah, double it, right? So there's that. You guys decide on the quality, and I'll give my final thoughts after we do the edit, because there's a lot of different. There's a range. It's not super bright today.
Right.
But it's also pretty dang dark in the casinos hallways. Right. And then you have the super bright lights of the casino. Which ones look better? I'm going to say my prediction is that this one always looks adequate enough, good enough, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully this one is. I'm expecting this to be a little lower quality-wise, but I don't think it's going to be bad. But you're holding this guy. You're using this guy a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Using this camera as like the camera recorder,
the videographer.
Yeah. Way easier, just because I don't have to worry so much about where I'm pointing the camera. Like, it's going to get everything as long as it's at the right level.
Yeah.
I actually think it's going to get a lot more footage than what I'm trying. Like, I don't have to work so hard to get the right shot, which is we'll get it.
Because I get fierce about it. I'm like, you got to get that correct. So I have to turn this camera.
Whereas I don't.
No, you're getting it regardless.
So I think in terms of like my purposes of using the camera, I like this way better than the other one.
Yeah.
From like my user perspective, but I'm also not the one editing the footage.
Let's go to the Cosmo here.
So.
Yeah. Well, and I like that I can just throw it over my shoulder.
Right.
You put it up high, you throw it over your shoulder. That security guard didn't even Didn't even notice at all, right?
No, not this one, but the one I was holding it.
Right, and she's holding this out in front. I keep bringing that up because it does matter, right? And some people are like new to vlogging and they're like, oh, this is gonna feel so awkward. It doesn't have to.
No,
it really
doesn't have to.
I don't feel awkward. You feel awkward talking to the camera in public.
I do feel awkward still. You think I wouldn't anymore, but I still do.
Yeah. So right now I've got the Action 5 on the ultra wide. So it is pretty dang wide. It's also, I think it's on Rock Steady or Rock Steady Plus. So one of those two. So there's a little bit of a crop factor. You can get it even, even wider than this. It's just not going to beat the X5, of course, or any 360 camera. With this guy, now obviously you sit up a little higher, but I can also reframe it left, right, whatever. I can make sure that Emma's in here versus having to go ahead and point it over towards Emma a little bit more. This is the audio out of both the X5 and the Osmo. No modifications done. This is just straight out of camera. So I have the mics on, but this is the receiver, and this is what plugs into the side of the X5 here. This is a bit of a chunky boy, right? But again, I think that you can get an adapter for this. So I could get like a strap, put a strap around this, right? I could clip this here, and I think that would help, or my hand could, cover that. And then I could use a USB-C extension and a 90-degree. I might be able to do like a splitter and put a battery pack on this if I wanted to, especially for night lapses. That's a pretty big deal. Of course, again, you lose a lot of that like waterproofing, although I wouldn't really trust the Action 5 in the rain under the same circumstances. So, there's that. How does the audio sound? I've heard really good things. Now, right now, we've also got, well, as you can see with the X5, I don't even have to move it. We've got metal flashing behind the cameras, and I'm shooting towards, these are suboptimal conditions. And I've got a lot of background noise behind us. But you also know how this sounds. We'll go ahead and connect up our mic minis and put these in pairing mode and just see how they sound. So that was the built-in audio. And this is one mic connected to the Action 5 Pro natively, and the one through the adapter. I imagine that I can adjust some of the gain settings on the receiver here. So some of this, if it's just a little low, this is probably my fault. But how does this sound? Hopefully it sounds pretty good. Background sound is probably a lot better with these microphones because especially they're pretty directional. So if I go ahead and just point in this way, you're going to hear less of the background and probably more of the background. How does this sound? I expect them to sound exactly the same. I hope they do. All right, we are back, and I've gone ahead and imported the footage. Importing this footage is really, really simple. I'm editing with a MacBook Pro. This is an M3 Max, but I really would at least have an M1 series Mac for this, or a faster PC. But go ahead and I'm just using a USB-C to USB-C data cable that I usually use for a hard drive. It's nice and fast. We'll go ahead and select file transfer on this, and it's the exact same thing to import the footage on the Osmo that I'm recording on right now. But you can see, I'm going to go ahead and load up the Insta360 Studio app here. And we'll go ahead and update, and that was a lot of pop-ups. So I'll let this guy update. Now while we're waiting for this update to take place, we'll go ahead and hop into Final Cut. Now typically my workflow works like this. So I open up Final Cut, I'll go ahead and Command N, and I will create a new project. All right, give it a name and say okay. Now what I would typically do then is Command I. I'll typically only use one folder. I've got two in here, but I can go ahead and select those and import selected. But you can see here that INSV files are not supported. This is where the extra work comes from. So let me go ahead and cancel this. So I'm going to go ahead, DJI Action 5 Pro, I'll just import that footage. Typically, just go ahead and highlight all of these files, drag them down to my timeline, give them a little bass tone, a little LUT here, hide that, and I'm in here and I'm just chopping from this point. Maybe there's something I need to I'll add a little transition here and there, but that's it. I mean, that's what it is. I can knock this out in a matter of 15, 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes me hours to do one of these edits, but realistically, I'm knocking these out multiple times a day. It doesn't take me all that long, especially with an update taking place. But here with 360 footage, we do need to edit the footage. One thing I thought was interesting is DJI does have a 360 camera, and frankly, that was a first choice. The DJI 360 editing app is pretty horrible, so you've got to import the file, but you can leave them on the on the camera. However, you've got to edit those files. You have to export them. That in itself takes a long time, right? Unless you want to just make one large file, which is an option, right? So you drag everything down to the timeline, then you go ahead and edit that. but we're adding so much work, and now I've doubled the file size, and this is a whole thing. So let me go ahead. I'm going to open Insta360 files here. Here I've gone open folder and then selected that folder, and I have all these files on the side. So it looks like I can go ahead and make my edits and speed forward. One thing that I really like to see actually was that I could go ahead and say I'm in here. I can actually pinch and zoom with my fingers and zoom in and out. That makes this really, really easy. And then click and just drag. And then when I like the position, I can tell this is going to help a whole lot with this. I can just click with the right click or 2-finger click to go ahead, and I can set a keyframe here. All right, I have spent, I don't know, over an hour editing, just the position of these videos. And there's a couple of things that kind of, if we dig through this one, for example, I found that I was thinking I would do like a whole time lapse on this video. I just don't care at this point. I just don't care. And one thing that's interesting is that if you bring the camera from in front of you to behind you, when you use this little tool down here called Deep Track, where it tries to track you, which does a pretty good job. If you bring it from the front to the back, it has lost at some point, like your hat, your hair, your lack of hair, whatever, right? It doesn't do a very good job. And it can look a little jittery. The editing tools are not terrible. The speed, it's, in terms of a Mac app, it doesn't feel that great. It feels like an iOS app ported over to Mac or Windows, Also, a little fun fact here, screen recording does not want to work with Insta360 running. I don't know if one's canceling. I've been able to do like Final Cut recordings, even though that's working. I don't know. But yeah, this is slow. 78%, 79%. And this is, there's 23 videos here. So as of right now, we've more than quadrupled. This is probably 6 or 7 times as long. Usually the longest part of my edits is the imports themselves. So we're really adding a lot of time to this. So we'll see what the quality looks like, if it's really that good. So far, side by side is really where it matters to me. I'm not super impressed with the sharpness and the quality there, but we'll see. Well, this isn't very much fun. So apparently all of the exports are 20 left. They've failed for insufficient storage. But if we look at my Mac hard drive, we've got 442 gigabytes remaining available. Captain's log. Least invasive to most invasive in terms of troubleshooting. Restarted the app, that did not fix it. Restarting the computer did. So it's going now, and it's still taking so long. But I'm previewing some of the footage, and I'm very interested to show you guys kind of what this looks like. Oh my gosh. I have some serious thoughts about this. Would you like to share yours first?
Sure.
I'll go off on a monologue here.
Joel has spent a long time editing this footage.
The whole day?
Normally he's very quick with the edits.
Extremely.
Today he threw a few tantrums and...
I didn't throw tantrums, but I was getting a little... I'm not gonna lie, I was getting pissed. I was going.
So in terms of like the editing factor, I'm not the one doing the editing, but I can tell that this is not it for the editing.
What she's really saying is, I don't want to hear that every day. That's what you're really saying, be honest.
In terms of the shooting, like being the videographer, I still think that the 360 camera is just easier to use in terms of like shooting.
Could not agree more. Yep.
I just like that better. It makes less room for me to make errors, for Joel to get mad at me, all those kinds of things.
No, sometimes like, point it at that thing. You know what I mean? You only get some things, you only get one shot.
Yeah. So that gets all the shots and makes my life easier. But in terms of the way the footage actually looked, like side by side, I think that like the footage from this is acceptable if you haven't seen the same exact footage from another camera.
Like this Action 5 Pro that we're looking at.
So I don't think the footage is unacceptable. I think that the quality is lower than the DJI Action 5, and why would we downgrade our quality? when we have the camera that has the better quality already.
So for me, the hardware I think is really awesome. I think it's a great form factor. I actually really like the Insta360 accessories. And that's about as good as I can say about it right now. 360 footage is really awesome in theory. In practicality, with the DJI 360 camera, it was just glitchy as can be, and honestly, it was such a disappointment because the Osmo Action 5 Pro is just so amazing, in my opinion, and it's just so easy to use, and so the editing process and the glitchiness of the camera. Well, this is glitchy too. So we did hit that snag where it didn't shut off, but it also wasn't on, like the screen. So, and this is brand new. This is the first time it's been out of the box. This is the first test, and that was bad enough. And it is fully up to date. And the Insta360 app is really easy to use, thankfully, but it does require that you use it. I don't like that, but DJI has the same problem. It was plug and play to use this little receiver, and I love that, but it floated around and looked really stupid in the footage. And
Cue Harry Potter.
it did look like something that was like floating there, you know, but there was no getting rid of it. And the reason was it like didn't matter which way because it's using both lenses. So that's you know, maybe you would get the what do they call it, the Air, the Insta360 Air mic Air, something like that.
Mics, yeah.
So yeah, you could do that, and those are pretty well priced compared to some of the DJI stuff. But I really do love the little mic minis. They have been really a pleasure to use.
Yeah, they've been really good to us.
And
so.
the batteries last great. So the battery on this, not the best. I will say this, I shot at least another hour and a half of like time-lapse footage. And by the time I was done with this, because we can get into the, I was so angry, I was so mad, I didn't even want to edit it, I didn't include it because it just didn't matter at that point. And so, it took all day. Some of this is like a me thing, but you saw it, a lot of it is it wasn't that my computer couldn't handle it. My computer can handle 8K footage. It was just bad. The process was bad. I spent all this time in the Insta360 app, and I said, okay, I'm gonna point it here, and do all these. And then I go to export the footage, and I didn't have direction lock on, but I left flow state on, and it did not retain that information. So it didn't write that to the metadata. I could not be more angry.
Which means you had to redo it.
Yeah, I had to redo it in Final Cut. And honestly, Final Cut was just easier to use in some ways, a little simpler. The interface was better. So I was just so disappointed. So what I'd like to see in the future is obviously better resolution, and I think DJI has that. I love that they have the replaceable lenses, and the quality is fantastic without the lenses compared to having another lens on it. But I would like to see like maybe a 10K version that's actually 4K instead of like 10K square, but then the circle cuts some of that out, and then of course you're not using some of these pixels a lot of times. When you zoom in, the quality is just ass. It's just ass. And realistically, like if we're going through a national park and we have this new sunroof, like yeah, it's cool to see everything at once, but eventually you want to zoom on this gorgeous mountains or a waterfall, and the action cameras already have a bad time with that. This is it's just lower resolution. I could not be more frustrated, and I looked at a ton of reviews, and nobody seemed to share these thoughts. There were, I had plenty of time while I was waiting for the export, just having to import the footage, modify it a little bit, then export it to Final Cut Pro, because maybe that's part of an Apple issue. Like they could have better integration with this. I don't know, but golly, dude, what in the world, man?
I have one more thing to add.
Okay.
I do think that this, for whatever reason, people did not pay attention to this the same way that they pay attention to the DJI Action 5, which was really interesting. Like, not that it really matters because we're still holding a camera either way, but it was interesting that people did not pay attention to this the same way.
I think it's one here versus just over the shoulder, and when you hold things, for some reason, people pay more attention to them.
That's
just like
because I'm prettier.
It could be that you're like you got lighter hair. I don't know. You also look nervous. You kind of look around shady like. I don't. I'm more confident in it. But people pay more attention to that, and they also pay more attention to what you say. I don't know if it's because I would talk too fast. I don't know. But anyways, that being said, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is the Action 5 blows this out of the water. It's night and day difference.
I think that it blows it out of the water in terms of total experience.
Yes.
I think a big part of that experience is the editing.
Yes.
I think in terms of
drag and drop and then just cut and
camera to camera, I don't know that I would say blows it out of the water, but it's definitely way better.
So yes, the experience, but also if you're looking at 8-bit versus 10-bit, I didn't think that would matter. It totally matters. You see the details. When it comes to overall resolution, it definitely matters. This is only a 4K. It's not the GoPro 5.3K, right? This is 4K. This is not. It's like 2K, which, you know, if that's what if you're coming from something far less like that, hey, that's better than nothing. But honestly, I'd rather get the quality out of my Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I think ultimately what's going to happen is I'm going to continue to use the Osmo because I love picking it up. And I could churn out a video in 45 minutes, start to finish, right? And then I think what I'm going to do is continue to try to find better ways to integrate, right? The stabilization on a mirrorless camera like the Fujifilm X5, it sucks. It sucks. That's why we got rid of the Sony, because it sucks stabilization-wise, and we're always on the move. Although that is one caveat. We're vloggers, and we're always on the move. We're almost never stationary like this. This guy is terrible if you want to edit moving footage because it's always changing, right? And there is direction lock, and that helps a lot. But if you set this up on a tripod, I mean, that would help probably with 30% of your frustrations, I think. And so it's really, there's pros and cons, but I'd rather have a Swiss Army knife than one really nice single tool, you know what I mean? Or like a whole, you know, we have other gear we can use that's just far. But I'm really hoping, I think they're getting closer.
The X5 is definitely better than the X4 was when we tried the X4.
That X4 would overheat and poop the bed all the time.
We really want to love the 360 camera. We really want it to work.
It's kind of like the iPad. You're like, oh, it's so close, but then they just neuter it with, you know what I mean? It's like the operating system. But some people, right, and this is the thing, some people love the iPad and it's more than they need. I'm a Mac person. Some people, this is more, you know, they're okay just having a single tool for a single job instead of like a multi-tool that does all the things decent, you know, jack of all trades, and that's where I'm at.
And we actually saw a lot of people walking around with these.
We got some nods. We got some, what's up?
And we saw no one, I think, with a DJI Action 5.
Nope, or a GoPro.
That's interesting that there were a lot, we saw multiple of these.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, so for a vlogging camera, it's not there. I just don't think it's there. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
For a dash camera, totally. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very expensive, nice dash camera. For a single purpose, you go in snowboarding and whatever, and you're just gonna take clips out of it, sure.
I think
fine.
I could see bike riding, I could see motorcycling, I could see snowboarding, I could see like anything where like you're moving a lot.
And you're not zooming in.
And you're not zooming in.
Yeah.
And you don't have one main focal point for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, pros and cons to everything. This one is more a con than a pro, and so in this instance, for vloggers, definitely would recommend a single lens DJI. DJI, I think, blows GoPro out of the water. It's always been consistent. The fun factor, I don't think, overrides the video quality factor, and I think maybe we'll just try teeing off that way and see about like some, you know, playing around with more of the big guns here, I guess.
Unfortunately, it feels like we have to choose, and I wish we didn't have to choose.
Yeah.
I wish we could have the quality and the fun all in one.
For now. Yeah. But the tech is getting better. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped you. Leave a comment below and check the links in the pinned comment. See you in the next video.
Bye, guys.
Bye.